So today I was taking the time to make some more edits in my guide, and decided to take a break and see what was on YouTube. Needless to say, I watched a video that came out today that initially I had a gut reaction to, and that was due to feeling defensive, but after some time, I felt like I could reflect on my feelings and make a comment video. So feel free to skip ahead if you want me to get straight to the point, to the part of the video that this video is titled after, and I'll leave a timestamp in the description too. But I'd appreciate it if you listen to the whole thing, if not at the very least, the very first part. I'm going to preface this video with saying this. I do not think I'm one of the best players on Dark Souls 3. I don't even think of myself even the margin of anywhere close to that. On top of that, I don't classify myself as even one of the best Ultra Greatsword users at all. I might be pretty good or maybe good enough, but I won't say more than that about myself. My spacing could always use work. I don't practice consistently for the sake of competitive fights or to be more competitive. Hell, there are some days where I completely suck and I have to walk away from the game for a while. I'm probably more well defined as a casual PvPer who just became a one-trick pony with too much time on his hands. The only reason why I'm even making a guide in the first place is because people requested it, and they requested it of me. And it's kind of fun. So maybe that says something. I don't know. I'm not them. So take my opinion with a grain of salt throughout the rest of this video. So just yesterday I played on Dante WTF's 2v2 tournament and I lost on the first round. I don't perform well in tournaments and I absolutely suck. I get nervous, I think too much and screw up. But I do them because they're fun. And not only that, but I learn more in those tournaments than a straight week or two of PvP has ever really done for me. At the same time, however, I'm reminded why I don't generally gravitate to complete competitive play. And it's a tiny part of this community that I actually don't like, that I don't care for. Whereas the rest of the community overall is incredibly encouraging and serves as a reminder of what game communities should be like, about fun and support. There are people like Dante WTF and the Game Economist who are really good at this game, but don't hold an elitist ideal of themselves when they play. They're there for fun, and happen to be good because of that. Not only that, but they dedicate time to test things out, see what works, and commit to that. And at the same time, present that to everyone else. While doing so, however, they don't let it get to their heads. Do they have opinions we sometimes disagree with? Absolutely. But they don't hold themselves as complete truths, or set their opinions in stone. They open it up with discussion and counterpoints. Dante has the discussion videos and The Economist asks for feedback on whether people agree or disagree in many of his videos. But in tournaments, for people who are considered good, once again, that doesn't pertain to everyone. I see a lot of elitist thinking coming out in almost everyone. People shit-talking others, challenging people on how good they are, statements like, "Who the hell are you? No one even knows you." As if popularity somehow surmounted to the worthiness to discuss an idea, to provide an opinion, to make a counter-argument. People like to have EP-sized contests and duke it out on the PvP scene to see who is the largest EP of all, to be crowned Mr. Biggest EP. Those who lose and care too much say, "Next time, you suck." Those who win and care too much say, "I'm the best, you suck." It's unnecessary, it's unattractive, and honestly, it's a little sad. It doesn't produce anything of value except in those rare moments where people evolve and grow past all of that, and they become humble. They strive to get better. To meet people like that is an exception. They are exceptional people. And I wish that for anyone who may hold an elitist opinion to one day realize. And I was recently reminded of that elitism when I saw Revan619's video today titled Dark Souls 3. Is an Ultra Greatsword ever worth it? And before you continue this video, I do implore you to watch his video in its entirety. He does make some really good points, but others I have to disagree with. I'll leave a link in the description below. I'll even give you some time to watch it so you can pause the video here. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. So did you watch it? I hope so. Because I watched the entire video. And all in all, I agree with his statements. Playing with the Ultra Greatsword means you have one of the biggest uphill battles for any PvP situation, generally speaking. Almost every other weapon class outclasses it. I know this as an Ultra Greatsword user myself. Greatswords outperform in range, moveset, and poise matchups. Smaller weapons interrupt more readily and hit more consistently before most Ultra Greatsword weapons even have a chance to respond. However, I do have some major disagreements, but more so on how his idea was presented in the first place. First, I disagree with that every person who plays with an Ultra Greatsword will lose more consistently to a non-Ultra Greatsword player, as there are exceptions for every rule. Will you find less consistency with the number of people who play Ultra Greatswords well? Absolutely. But not everyone who plays with an Ultra Greatsword well will lose more consistently than win. That's an elitist idea. Have someone dedicate enough time into something with this game and you can make some of the most unplayable weapons seem viable. We wouldn't have jokes about naked guys with daggers and mimic heads being beasts otherwise. If that person dedicated the same amount of time into a non-Ultra Greatsword weapon, would they win even more? Probably. I think there's a high chance of that being completely and absolutely utterly true. And it would be a safe bet to say so. At least for most people. I generally agree with that, and this is coming from someone who only plays with an Ultra Greatsword. I witnessed a fight club last year where someone decided to use nothing but a broken straight sword and went head to head with people who had wiped past fight clubs before, only to have their asses handed to them by this one naked guy with a crappy weapon. It happens. That being said, I think the reason why people have a negative gut reaction to Revan's video is that, despite what he says at the end of his video, that anyone should basically play how they want and that people can be good at playing with an Ultra Greatsword, he fails to preface that in the start of the video. He sets the tone of the entire video up until the end as, if you play with an Ultra Greatsword and win, you're playing against bad players or getting lucky. It's an insult, and objectively not true. He actively mocks the idea of people trying to defend an Ultra Greatsword throughout the video, and it leaves people seeming like they're unable to form an opinion, otherwise they're just proving his point. It closes unnecessary doors in people's faces. I mean, some of the most laughable weapons at the start of the game's release are now recognized as one of the best or viable. Sure, some of it has to do with updates and fixes, but a lot of it is because people learned how to play with them over time. That's the idea. People can become good at something if they dedicate enough time to it. Don't slam the door in people's faces, turn the lock, and then tell them, I didn't slam the door. If I did, show me how I did it, and leave it at that. But overall, my point is this. Not everyone wants an easy win. Not everyone wants to play with the same old meta, and not everyone loses more when they play an Ultra Greatsword. Don't create a wall where there isn't any need for one. He should have prefaced the start of his video with his ending statements to avoid the potential confusion, that people can be good with them. Do away with the statements that tell people they will lose more than win against other good players. It's 1, not true. 2, elitist in the opposite way that people are elitist to say that Ultra Greatswords are better than all other weapons. And 3, it shuts down people who have the potential to prove his statement wrong if they trust his word. It's funny because on the very same day, the Game Economist actually released a video titled Dark Souls 3, the best Ultra Greatsword for duels. In it, he outlines, in his opinion, why the regular Greatsword Ultra Greatsword is the best Ultra Greatsword for duels. However, more interestingly enough, for me at least, he outlines the idea of what it means to play with an Ultra Greatsword. Depending on the trade, taking advantage of a mistake, using variety, pressure, and watching out for patterns. He states that he doesn't care how many times he misses. He doesn't care about people's statements commenting on how easy it is to dodge Ultra Greatswords. He knows that already as an Ultra Greatsword user. He's depending on that. As a reactive player has to wait for the right moment to strike, so does the Ultra Greatsword user. The method and performance are just different. The outcome's the same. It's a mind game of sorts, and we see this type of setup play out in different games. And best of all, he doesn't come off elitist about it. He states repeatedly that it's his opinion, and only provides a guide and outlook as to how it can be utilized. Players like the Game Economist are less concerned about who comes out on top, and more so on how you can come out on top with each weapon or class. To me, that speaks more to the ideal of playing how you want, not formulating an opinion as objective fact and blanketing an entire player base as not good as the rest. I think Revan has a high level of say in the politics of PvP, at least in Dark Souls, and there's good reason for that. He's good at what he does, but he should use that platform more responsibly, at least in my opinion. But again, and I'll say it again, that's just my opinion and I could be wrong, so take my word with a grain of salt. But let me know what you guys think at the very least. My name is Azul Ryu, and as always, you have my thanks.